Let me ask you something. Do you ever feel like success is just out of reach? Like no matter how hard you try, you're always one step behind? If you've ever felt that way, you're not alone. But here's the truth. Success isn't magic. It's not luck. It's something you build, step by step, using the right tools. In this video, we're going to reflect on the 6 life-changing principles that can turn your biggest dreams into reality. Hard work, patience, sacrifice, persistence, discipline, and self-confidence. So, stay with me till the end, because this final chapter might just be the push you need to finally start winning in life. Ready to take that step? Let's begin. Chapter 1. Hard work. The sun had not yet risen, but Alex was already awake. The alarm clock rang at 4:30 a.m., just like it did every day. He rubbed his eyes, stretched his arms, and got out of bed without hesitation. There was no one telling him to wake up this early. No one watching him. No applause, no rewards, just silence. And the sound of discipline. Alex lived in a small apartment above a bakery where he worked part-time. During the day, he delivered bread. In the evenings, he studied. He had a dream, to become an architect. But unlike others who had time, money, or connections, Alex only had his dream, and a will that refused to break. People often told him to take it easy. They said, "Why work so hard? Things will come when the time is right." Some even laughed behind his back. "He thinks he'll become something. Poor guy doesn't know life doesn't work that way." But Alex didn't care. He knew something they didn't. He knew that dreams were not handed out like candy. They were earned with sweat, with effort, and with time. He believed that success was not about luck or finding the fastest route. It was about showing up every day, doing the work and getting better, even if no one noticed. One day, after a long shift at the bakery, Alex sat at his tiny desk and opened his notebook. His hands were sore, and his eyes burned from lack of sleep. But he still pulled out his pencil and began sketching. The building he designed in his notebook didn't exist. Not yet. But in his mind, it was already real. He imagined people walking through the doors. He imagined families living there. He imagined it standing tall in the middle of the city. His heart beat a little faster. He smiled. This is why he worked. Years passed. While others partied, Alex studied. While others slept in, he got up before dawn. He made mistakes. He failed exams. But every failure became fuel. Every rejection made him stronger. One day, he applied for an internship at a famous architecture firm. He had no formal education in design, no degree, just a portfolio filled with hand-drawn sketches. The receptionist looked confused when he walked in. "Do you have an appointment?" she asked. "No," he replied, "but I have a dream. And I'd like to show my work." The receptionist laughed, but something in his voice made her pause. She handed his portfolio to one of the senior architects. An hour later, they called him back. The architect, a stern man with silver hair, flipped through Alex's sketches, page after page of raw, passionate, detailed work. "You didn't study at any university?" he asked. "No, sir. I couldn't afford it. But I studied every day. I practiced. I built models from cardboard. I learned from books, online videos, and by watching the world around me." The old man leaned back and looked at him. "You've got something most graduates don't." "What's that, sir?" "Real hunger. Real effort." Alex got the internship. He worked harder than anyone else in the office. He arrived early, stayed late, asked questions, and took notes. He made coffee runs and built models with his own hands. Within a year, they offered him a full-time position. But Alex didn't stop there. He kept learning. He enrolled in night classes. He read every book he could find on design, structure, and construction. Slowly, his dream began to grow, not just in his heart, but in reality. One day, the firm was assigned a major city project. The head architect asked everyone to submit their ideas. Alex worked on his design for weeks. He poured his soul into it. When the final decision was made, his design was chosen. It was the same building he had first drawn in his notebook years ago, the one he imagined when no one believed in him. When the groundbreaking ceremony began, reporters and photographers gathered. A young man in a suit stood in front of the crowd, holding a microphone. He looked different now, confident, mature, but his eyes still carried the fire of the boy who once woke up before dawn. He stepped up to the podium. "People often ask me how I got here," he said. "They assume I was lucky, but I wasn't. I was just willing to work harder than anyone else. I didn't wait for doors to open. I built my own." The crowd applauded, and in that moment, Alex knew success isn't magic. It isn't about who you know or how lucky you are. It's about how hard you're willing to work when no one is watching. It's about doing the small things every single day, even when you're tired, even when it's hard, and even when you feel like giving up. Because hard work never lies. Chapter 2. Patience. Mia had always been a dreamer. Since childhood, she wanted to become a writer, not just someone who wrote stories, but someone whose books changed lives. She imagined people reading her words in quiet rooms, on park benches, or during hard times, and finding hope. After college, she moved to the city, full of excitement and belief. She rented a small apartment, got a part-time job at a bookstore, and began writing her first novel. At first, the words came easily. She felt inspired. She imagined her name on book covers. But as weeks turned into months, her excitement began to fade. Writing was harder than she thought. Some days she stared at the screen for hours without typing a single sentence. Other days, she wrote pages she later deleted. She finished her first draft in 8 months, full of joy and pride. She sent it to dozens of publishers, and then nothing. One rejection after another filled her inbox. "No thanks. Not the right fit. We wish you the best." Each message felt like a small cut. Slowly, doubt began to creep in. Maybe she wasn't good enough. Maybe this dream was too big for her. She considered giving up. "What's the point?" she whispered one night, sitting alone with her laptop. "I worked so hard. And for what?" But something inside her didn't let go. She remembered something her grandmother once told her. "The tree that bears the sweetest fruit takes the longest to grow." So she waited, and she worked. She rewrote her novel. She took writing workshops. She read more books. She studied authors she admired. Months passed, then a year, then 2, still no publisher. Her friends moved on, got stable jobs, bought houses, posted pictures of vacations. Mia stayed behind with her pen and paper. Sometimes people would ask, "Still chasing that writing dream?" She'd smile and say yes, even when she felt unsure. But she kept going. Every day she wrote, not because someone asked her to, not for fame, but because she believed in the power of patience, the kind that waits without losing faith, the kind that endures even when the road seems endless. Then, one afternoon, as she stood behind the counter at the bookstore, she received an email. A small publishing house had read her manuscript. They loved it. They wanted to publish it. Mia froze. Her heart raced. She read the email twice just to be sure. Tears welled in her eyes, not because she was surprised, but because she had waited so long for this moment. The novel was published 6 months later. It didn't become a bestseller overnight, but slowly, readers began to find it. They shared quotes. They posted reviews. Some even wrote letters, saying her story helped them through depression or grief or heartbreak. And one day, a message came from a teenager who had been planning to give up on life, but didn't, because of a chapter in Mia's book. She read the message in silence, then closed her eyes. This was why she waited. If she had given up after the first rejection, or the 10th, or the 50th, none of it would have happened. No one would have read her words. No lives would have been touched. Mia learned what so many people forget. Success is rarely fast. Sometimes it takes years of quiet effort before the world takes notice. And many people quit too soon, right before the door opens. Patience isn't just about waiting. It's about trusting the process when nothing seems to be working. It's about planting seeds every day and believing they will grow, even when you can't see them yet. She once read a quote that became her motto. Don't dig up in doubt what you planted in faith. Looking back, she didn't regret the long nights, the tears, the silence, the waiting. It was all part of the journey. Now, when young writers ask her for advice, she smiles and says, keep going. Don't rush the process. The best things in life take time. Be patient. Your moment will come. And when they ask, how do you know? She answers softly, because I waited, and I didn't give up. Chapter 3. Sacrifice. Jason stood at the edge of the football field, breathing in the cold morning air. The sky was still dark. The city was asleep, but he was already sweating from his first round of drills. He wasn't the fastest. He wasn't the strongest. But he had something others didn't, the willingness to give up anything for his dream. Since childhood, Jason wanted to play professional football. While other kids spent their weekends playing video games, he was on the field. When others went to parties, he trained. He skipped movies, skipped dates, even skipped sleep. People often asked, "Why are you so serious all the time?" He'd just smile. They didn't understand what he was building. Every dream has a price, and Jason had decided long ago he was ready to pay it. In college, he got a small sports scholarship. It wasn't a big school. No TV cameras, no fame. Just a small team with old gear and an overworked coach. Still, Jason showed up early every day and stayed late. He missed out on a lot. Holidays with family, weekends with friends, and even a few birthdays. Sometimes it hurt. Sometimes he sat alone in his dorm room and wondered if he was missing out on life. But deep down, he knew he wasn't. He was investing in his future. He was choosing long-term gain over short-term pleasure. One evening, after a hard practice, his roommate came back from a party and found Jason studying game strategies by the dim desk lamp. "You're wasting your youth," his roommate said, half joking. "You'll regret not having fun." Jason looked up and replied calmly, "Maybe, but I'd rather sacrifice my youth chasing my dream than waste it doing nothing." His roommate laughed and went to sleep, but Jason kept studying. After graduation, there was no contract waiting for him, no scouts, no offers, just a long road of uncertainty. But instead of giving up, he worked harder. He got a job delivering groceries to pay rent. He used the rest of his time training, sending out game footage, attending tryouts, and facing rejection again and again. There were days he felt exhausted. There were nights when he questioned everything. Is this worth it? He'd ask himself. What if I fail? But another voice inside him answered, then at least you'll fail giving everything. Months passed. Then one day, a second division team called. A player got injured and they needed a backup. It wasn't a dream offer. It didn't pay much, but it was a chance. Jason took it without hesitation. He trained harder than anyone else. He stayed after practice to study plays. He helped clean the locker room when no one asked him to. Slowly, the coach began to notice. Then one game, their starting player got injured. Jason was called in. Everyone expected little. He was just a backup. But Jason had been preparing for this moment his entire life. He played with heart, focus, and fire. He didn't just fill the spot, he changed the game. By the end of the season, he was a starter. A year later, a top division team signed him. Now, fans wore his jersey. Children looked up to him. He had the fame, the money, and the life others once said he'd never have. But when asked in interviews, "What's the secret to your success?" he never said talent or luck. He always answered the same way. Sacrifice. I gave up a lot to be here, but I never saw it as a loss. I saw it as a trade. People saw the glory, but not the grind. They saw the medals, not the lonely mornings. They saw the wins, not the years of waiting, working, and sacrificing. Jason knew that every great achievement comes with a cost, and he was proud of the price he paid. Now, when he visits schools and talks to young athletes, he doesn't just talk about training or competition. He talks about choices. You can't have everything, he tells them. If you want something big, you must give something up. Sleep, comfort, free time. You must decide what matters more, your dream or your comfort, because you can't have both. He looks at the crowd, young eyes full of ambition. Then he adds, the world will ask, how bad do you want it? And the only way to answer is through sacrifice. Chapter 4. Persistence. Elena sat at a small desk in a quiet corner of the library, her eyes heavy with exhaustion. This was the 4th time she had failed the medical school entrance exam. Her hands trembled slightly as she held the rejection letter. She had given everything she had, time, energy, money, and still the answer was no. Many people would have stopped by now, but not Elena. Her dream had never been easy. She came from a small village where no one had ever become a doctor. Her family struggled to afford books, internet, or even decent meals. But Elena had always been determined. When she was 10, her younger brother fell ill and couldn't get proper treatment. That day, she promised herself, I will become a doctor, no matter what. And she meant it. The first time she failed the exam, people said, it's okay, try something else. The second time they said, maybe it's not for you. The third time they didn't say anything. They just looked at her with quiet pity. Now, after the 4th failure, Even her parents looked at her differently. "Maybe it's time to let go," her mother said gently. But Elena couldn't. Giving up meant breaking the promise she made to her younger self and to her brother, who still looked at her with hope. So she got up early the next day and went back to studying. She worked part-time at a bakery to pay for her classes. She borrowed used textbooks. She watched free lectures online. Every night after her shift, she studied until midnight. No one saw her tears. No one saw her struggle, but she kept going. Because persistence means doing what must be done, even when no one is watching, even when no one believes in you. Months passed. Her friends got jobs. Some started families. Others traveled the world. But Elena stayed home, studying, failing, and trying again. She failed the exam 5 times, 6 times, 7 times. People laughed behind her back. Some even said she was obsessed. "She's wasting her life," they whispered. But Elena didn't care. She had learned something important. The world doesn't reward talent alone. It rewards those who refuse to quit. On her 8th try, she walked into the exam room calmly, not because she was sure she would pass, but because she had already won in her heart. She had already proven that she could stand back up no matter how many times she fell, and this time, she passed. She stared at the acceptance letter in disbelief. It didn't feel real. The tears came slowly, soft and quiet, like rain after a long drought. Years later, she graduated with honors. She became a doctor and returned to her village, the same one that once doubted her, to open a small clinic. She treated people who couldn't afford big hospitals. She helped children like her brother. She gave free health talks. She changed lives. And people finally saw the truth. She wasn't the smartest in her class. She wasn't the fastest learner, but she was the most persistent, and that made all the difference. When young students asked her, "How did you do it?" she didn't talk about study methods or memory tricks. She simply said, "I refuse to quit." That's all. Elena learned what many people forget. Talent is a gift, but persistence is a choice. Every time you fail and get back up, you grow stronger. Every no brings you closer to yes, if you keep going. Most people stop too early. They stop at the 5th try, the 6th, the 7th. But what if success is waiting on the 8th? You'll never know unless you persist. Elena's life became proof that ordinary people can do extraordinary things, not because they are special, but because they keep moving forward when others give up. She used to think becoming a doctor would be the greatest success of her life. But now she knew better. Her real victory was not passing the exam. It was showing the world what happens when a person refuses to surrender. Chapter 5. Discipline. No one saw Liam wake up at 4:30 a.m. every morning. While the city slept, he stood in the cold, tying his worn-out running shoes. His alarm didn't motivate him anymore. It was pure discipline. The fire in his heart had burned too long to rely on mood or energy. He didn't train because he felt like it. He trained because it was who he had become. Liam was a marathon runner, but not the kind on magazine covers. He had no sponsorship, no personal coach, and no fancy equipment. Just a dream and discipline as his closest friend. When he first started running, he was slow, awkward, and often out of breath. He couldn't even finish a single mile without stopping. But he told himself, "I'll show up again tomorrow." And he did. 1 mile turned into 3, 3 into 10. Then slowly, He began running half marathons not to win, but to prove to himself that he could do hard things. But what separated Liam from others wasn't talent or speed. It was what he did when no one was watching. Rainy mornings, freezing evenings, days when his legs felt heavy and his mind whispered, "Just stay in bed." Liam ran anyway. He showed up even when he didn't want to. His friends called him extreme. "Why push so hard?" they asked. "Because goals don't care about feelings," he replied. He didn't wait for perfect conditions. He trained when it hurt. He trained when he was tired. And slowly, this quiet discipline built something strong inside him. One day, he signed up for a national marathon, his biggest challenge yet. The course was known for its steep hills and unpredictable weather. Hundreds of professional runners would be there. Liam had no illusions of winning. He just wanted to finish with pride. The morning of the race, the sky was gray and stormy. Many runners were nervous. But Liam? He smiled. He had run in worse weather, with worse shoes, on harder days. He was ready. The race began. At first, he kept pace, but by mile 15, his legs started cramping. Pain shot through his knees. Many runners quit. Liam slowed down, but he didn't stop. He repeated to himself, "One more step, one more mile." By mile 20, he was nearly limping, but he kept moving. Not fast, not gracefully, just forward. When he finally crossed the finish line, he collapsed, not from weakness, but from knowing he gave everything. He didn't place high, but the officials were stunned. "You didn't quit," one of them said. "No," Liam whispered, catching his breath. "Quitting isn't part of my training." That day, a local newspaper ran a story about the man who ran with heart. But what they didn't write about was the years of early mornings, the hundreds of painful runs, the days when Liam could have chosen comfort, but chose commitment instead. Later, when he spoke to young athletes, he always shared one truth. Motivation is like a spark. It's quick, exciting, but it fades. Discipline is like a fire. It burns steady, even when everything around you is cold. If you only act when you feel good, you'll never reach greatness. Discipline isn't loud. It doesn't shout. It whispers, "Do it anyway." Liam wasn't the best runner in the world, but he became the most dependable version of himself. And that's what true success looks like. Not trophies or applause, but showing up for yourself every single day, no matter how you feel. Because feelings change, but discipline stays. Chapter 6. Self-Confidence. Sophia stood in front of the mirror, her hands trembling as she fixed her tie. Today was the presentation, the one that could change everything. She had spent weeks preparing for it, staying up late, practicing alone, refining every slide. But inside, a quiet fear still whispered, "What if you're not good enough?" Sophia had always struggled with doubt. As a child, she was the quiet one, the girl who rarely raised her hand in class, afraid of saying the wrong thing. People often underestimated her. Teachers looked past her. Friends made jokes about how shy and awkward she was. So she started to believe them. For years, she stayed in the background, letting others speak first, watching opportunities pass her by. She told herself, "I'm not like them. I'm just not confident." But deep inside, she had dreams, big ones. She wanted to lead, to create, to stand on stage and share her ideas with the world. She just didn't believe she could. Then one day, something changed. She read a quote. "The world treats you the way you treat yourself." It hit her hard. Maybe it wasn't the world holding her back. Maybe it was her own voice, her own doubts, that kept her small. So she made a decision. I'm going to believe in myself, even if no one else does. It wasn't easy. Confidence didn't come overnight. But she started small. She raised her hand once a day in class. She volunteered to lead a small project at work. She stopped apologizing for her ideas. And most importantly, she began speaking to herself with kindness. Instead of thinking, "I can't," she began saying, "I'll try." Instead of, "They're better than me," she reminded herself, "I'm learning and growing too." Every day she took a step forward, and with each step, her confidence grew. So now, months later, here she was, about to give the biggest presentation of her life in front of a panel of directors. Her heart raced as she entered the room. People stared. Some looked disinterested. Others seemed skeptical. But Sophia didn't shrink. She took a deep breath and began. Her voice was clear, her message strong. She spoke with passion, not because she needed their approval, but because she believed in her idea. Halfway through, someone interrupted her with a sharp question. The old version of Sophia would have panicked, but this time she smiled and answered calmly. Because confidence isn't about being perfect. It's about trusting yourself, even when things get uncomfortable. When she finished, the room was silent for a moment. Then came the applause. Later that day, one of the directors pulled her aside. "You spoke with real clarity," he said. "But more than that, you believed in what you were saying. That's rare." Sophia smiled. "Thank you. I believe in myself now." That moment wasn't about praise or validation. It was about the journey, about how far she had come by trusting her own voice. Confidence, she realized, isn't about never being scared. It's about doing it anyway. There will always be people who doubt you, question you, or try to tear you down. But when you know who you are and what you stand for, their words lose power. Sophia no longer needed to fit into others' expectations. She had found something stronger than approval. She had found self-respect. And that was enough. She went on to lead bigger teams, speak at global conferences, and inspire others to believe in themselves too. But she never forgot where it started. Not with applause, not with recognition, but with a quiet decision made alone. I choose to believe in me. The foundation of success, a reflection on the 6 principles. Remember, success doesn't happen overnight. It's built on these 6 principles. If you apply them in your life, no dream will be out of reach. Success isn't a single event. It's a journey, a slow, steady climb, not a sudden leap. Too often, we look at successful people and only see the final result, the medals, the recognition, the wealth. What we don't see is the silent struggle, the early mornings, the moments of doubt, and the quiet courage that fuels the climb. Behind every great story is a foundation built on 6 powerful principles: hard work, patience, sacrifice, persistence, discipline, and self-confidence. Let's take a deeper look at each one and understand why they matter so much. Hard work is where everything begins. It's the seed from which success grows. In a world that often promises fast results and easy riches, it's tempting to look for shortcuts. But the truth is, real success has no shortcuts. It doesn't come from luck or chance. It comes from effort. When you work hard, You build skills. You earn respect. You develop a strong foundation that no one can take away from you. Hard work teaches you resilience. Even when no one is watching, even when progress is slow, it shapes your character. It tells the world, I'm serious. I'm here to stay. Hard work won't guarantee instant results, but it guarantees growth. And with growth comes opportunities you never imagined. In a fast-paced world, patience is rare. We want results today, not tomorrow. But the greatest things in life take time. Seeds don't grow into trees overnight, and dreams don't become reality in a day. Patience doesn't mean doing nothing. It means doing your best and trusting that the results will come. It's about understanding that progress takes time. Most people give up too early, right before the breakthrough. They quit when things get slow, boring, or difficult. But those who stay the course, they're the ones who win. Patience keeps you grounded. It gives you the strength to keep going, even when things feel uncertain. It reminds you that the journey is just as important as the destination. Nothing in life comes free. Every goal has a price, whether it's time, energy, comfort, or relationships. Sacrifice means choosing your dream over temporary pleasure. It means saying no to distractions so you can say yes to your purpose. If you're not willing to make sacrifices, your dream will be the thing that gets sacrificed. Ask yourself, are you ready to wake up early, stay focused, and push past your limits? Are you willing to spend time learning, training, or failing so that one day you can succeed? Sacrifice isn't easy, but it's the cost of greatness. Everyone admires the results. Few are willing to pay the price, but those who are, the ones who give up what's easy for what's meaningful, become unstoppable. Talent can give you a head start, but only persistence can take you to the finish line. Life will test you. You will fail. You will fall. You'll face rejection, criticism, and disappointment. But the real question is, will you get back up? Persistence means showing up, even when you're tired, discouraged, or afraid. It means trying again and again until you break through. It's not about being the fastest or smartest. It's about being the one who refuses to quit. Every time you choose to keep going, you become stronger. You build a mindset that doesn't rely on success for motivation. You keep moving forward, not because it's easy, but because you know it's worth it. Greatness is not given. It's earned, step by step, failure by failure, day by day. That's the power of persistence. Motivation feels good, but it doesn't last. Some days you'll feel excited. Other days, you won't want to do anything at all. That's where discipline comes in. Discipline is doing what's necessary, even when you don't feel like it. It's sticking to your routine. It's choosing action over excuses. It's not about being perfect, but being consistent. You won't always feel motivated to study, to train, to work. But if you stay disciplined, you'll get things done anyway. And over time, your small daily actions will add up to something big. Discipline is what keeps your dream alive when motivation fades. It's what turns a wish into a goal, and a goal into a result. The final key to success is belief. If you don't believe in yourself, no one else will. Self-confidence means knowing your worth. It means understanding that you don't need everyone's approval. There will always be critics, doubters, and people who don't understand your journey. That's okay. What matters most is that you know who you are and what you're capable of. Confidence isn't loud. It doesn't need to shout. It's the quiet strength inside you that says, I can handle this. It's the courage to take the first step, to speak your truth, to face failure and try again. When you believe in yourself, you stop waiting for permission. You start chasing your dreams with conviction. And that's when the world starts to believe in you too. Success is not magic. It's not something you stumble upon. It's something you build brick by brick, day by day. With hard work, you begin the journey. With patience, you stay steady. With sacrifice, you commit. With persistence, you overcome. With discipline, you stay consistent. And with self-confidence, you rise. These 6 principles are more than just ideas. They are tools. Use them, and no dream will be too big. Forget them, and even small goals may slip away. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to be committed. If you apply these values in your life, you won't just win. You'll grow. You'll change. You'll become someone who inspires others. So ask yourself today, am I ready to live by these principles? If the answer is yes, then success is not a matter of if, it's only a matter of when. So, now you know the truth. Success isn't something you wait for, it's something you work for. And with hard work, patience, sacrifice, persistence, discipline, and self-confidence, there is no dream too big and no goal too far. Remember, you don't have to be perfect. You just have to be consistent and committed. Apply these principles, and you will start to win. Not just in life, but in your heart, your growth, and your future. Now it's your turn. Let me ask you, which of these 6 principles do you want to work on first? Tell me in the comments. I read every one of them. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share it with someone who needs a little inspiration today. See you in the next video. Keep learning. Keep growing.